What's good, people, and welcome to another episode of Mini Football Logic. It's Zeno here, and in today's episode, we're going to go through the second leg of the Champions League quarterfinals that just happened. Now, let's start with Tuesday's action. Barcelona PSG ended 1-4. This game simply hinged of one moment of madness, 1 minute of stupidity, 1 moment of sadness. For Barcelona fans anyways. Unfortunately, that mistake by Ronald Araujo in the 29th minute, where Barcelona were 1-0 up, cost them the whole tie. Now, the game started off kind of how the game in the first leg started off. PSG were kind of pushing on, and Barcelona continued to show strength in defence and in the counter-attack. They then got the goal through a moment of magic from Lamine Yamal on the wing, who then managed to set up Rafinha for a scruffy-ish kind of finish. Barcelona was simply in control, 4-2 up in aggregate, and things were looking good for Xavi's men. And people were about to stand up and pay attention to Barcelona being potential contenders for the Champions League. Because I can't lie, they were my dark horses. Now, I'm not saying they were my personal favourites to win, but they were my dark horses for sure. If they made it past this round, I would have counted on them to go on and win the whole thing. And then we'll quickly reminded why they aren't going to win it. And they won't win it. Araujo lost the ball. Bradley Barcola, who did cause some issues in the first leg, was sent through. And the rest was history. The rest was history. Araujo panicked, collided with him. It was quite soft, and he was sent off. The game completely spun on its head. Completely, absolutely, PSG just ran the game from there. They kept the ball really well, and they created chances, and they maintained pressure. Eventually, PSG scored just before half-time through Ousmane Dembele, who was, in villain mode throughout the match, smiling and seemingly enjoying all the hate and the anger that the Barcelona fans were sending his way. And then in the second half, Vitinha scored. He was given at least 100 years to set himself up to shoot, and he punished them. Goal into the bottom corner. Done. Then after that, 7 minutes after that, Cancelo stupidly stuck a leg out, trying to tackle Dembele, who was running away from the danger zone, aka the box and the goal, and tried to tackle him. Again, I guess it shows why Man City loaned him out. And of course, Mbappe steps up for the first time in this whole tie. First time you see him properly, he scores the penalty. And then at the death, where Barcelona was trying to get that one goal to try and push it to extra time, they got caught on the break, and Koundé set up Mbappe for another goal. True pain, because watching that tie, we all know, those who watched it, we all know that if Barcelona didn't have Araujo sent off, this would have been a tie they probably would have won. And the fact that it all hinged on that one moment is very painful, because that's something that is within your control. But lessons will have to be learned. Obviously, as we know, Xavi is leaving at the end of the season. He even left this match. He got sent off, for kicking the area where the camera was. Referee, I can't lie, was a bit, strict. The red card was harsh, but the rules are the rules. And I can't lie, Xavi's red, and I think one of the coaches got sent off too. It was a bit chaotic, a bit madness. There was moments in that game where Barca completely lost their heads. And when things don't go your way and you have a young team, it's tough. And when the older, more experienced players don't step up, Gundogan, Lewandowski, because Barca did have slight openings. They could have scored with 10 men, but they didn't make the most of it. And maybe they shouldn't take it off Yamal. Maybe they should take it off somebody else. Nonetheless, PSG go through, and looks like they're trying to break their own personal oil hoodoo after Man City did the same in the previous season. Now, who will PSG face? They will face Borussia Dortmund. Yes, you heard me right, Borussia Dortmund. After that absolute disaster class of a first leg, in particular that first half performance, they've done a complete 360, and it's like, as the tie went on, they got better, and better with each half that passed. Now, they beat Atletico Madrid 4-2. That's crazy to me. That's the first thing. They won 5-4 in aggregate. That is crazy to me. With two lone knees from mid-table Premier League sides. That's crazy to me. One of them even scoring in the game. That's crazy to me. Now, as we know, Dortmund, rubbish first half of the first leg. Second half of the second leg, they got better. And then second leg of the first half of the second leg, this is really difficult for me to say. First half of the second leg, they played even better. And then in the second half of the second leg, they probably reached peak form. Now, they scored first and they scored second. They were 2-0 up and they had successfully completely turned the tie around. Brandt scoring, obviously he hit the bar near the end and this could have been an even more comfortable result for Borussia if he did that. And then Ian Maatsen, the Chelsea lady, with an absolutely impressive finish. I can't lie, that's Bale at Inter Milan-esque. If you know, you know. Anyways, in Atletico Madrid, Simeone's men, the Warriors always find a way. This is the trophy that's alluded to Simeone doing his whole time at Atletico. He's won the league multiple times. I believe it's 2 or 3 times. But he has not been able to win the Champions League even once. And that is the trophy that continues to elude him. They found a way back. Humo's own goal. And then Correa scored 2-2. Atletico Madrid were going through again. And Borussia Dortmund had to find 2 goals to go through. And boy, did they find them. 2 goals in 3 minutes from Füllkrug and Marcel Sabitzer, who set up Füllkrug for his goal. So talk about difference maker. A guy that Man United passed on. Remember? They had a chance to sign him because, as we know, he was on loan there. And they didn't sign him. And look at him now. But I guess that's what people do. And they look at how one player was at X club and now he's at this club. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, they should have kept him because look what he's doing. Let's not do that. Edin Terzic, men, they found a way. What a performance. Now, Borussia Dortmund and PSG were in the same group, so it's quite funny they're meeting each other again. But this is how it be. This is how it be. There's nothing we can do about it. This is how the draw be working sometimes. So we have it, PSG versus Dortmund. Maybe not what we expected, but 2 teams that probably really do deserve it. Even though, like I said, PSG were quite fortunate. Now, let's move on to Wednesday's games. The English teams were obviously on this side of the draw. Arsenal and Man City. Bayern Munich versus Arsenal will go through first. It ended 1-0 to Bayern Munich. Is it really a surprise? When I stand here and I talk to you guys about pedigree, do you understand the meaning of that word? Do you understand the importance of it when you play these type of games of such importance and magnitude? Bayern Munich know how to get it done. They have a coach that's got it done. They have players that have got it done. And most of all, they have a culture within a club that knows how to get it done. Arsenal are the complete opposite of that. Arteta, let's not get it twisted. A great coach. Let's not get it twisted. The players like Saka, Declan Rice, Saliba, hey, these guys are borderline world class. Yeah, these are really good players. And an amazing coach on top of that. But they don't have the pedigree. The pedigree. They don't have it. They don't have the sauce when it counts. Arsenal will learn from this. They lost 1-0. Joshua Kimmich in the 63rd minute. They'll learn from this. But boy, it will hurt. It will hurt because maybe they felt like there was an opportunity here. But when you watch the game, like I did, like we all did, if you guys watched the game, Bayern Munich, it was kind of a repeat of the first leg. But obviously Bayern Munich having the home support, they were putting the pressure on a little bit, but Arsenal continued to, it was a very cagey type game in the first half, and the second half kind of carried on. Bayern Munich edged it, I believe, and that's why they got the goal. Joshua Kimmich. Arsenal weren't able to create anything clear cut, really, truly. They had a couple of half openings here and there, but they weren't able to create anything clear cut. And the strength of the midfield duo, the midfield pivot of Konrad Laimer and Leon Goretzka was just too strong. Declan Rice wasn't able to impose himself. Odegaard had his moments, but he couldn't impose himself either. Bukayo Saka couldn't impose himself. Martinelli couldn't impose himself. Trossard, he came on hoping to get another clutch goal, couldn't impose himself. Jesus came on, he couldn't impose himself. You get what I'm getting here? Havertz couldn't impose himself. Matter of the fact is that Arsenal just didn't have the extra little bit that was needed. to get through this game, to find a way at the Allianz Arena. They've only lost here in the Allianz Arena twice this whole season. So it's not easy to beat them. Now, we all know that Bayern Munich are a team that has been on the perception side of things really poor this season. But if you look at the points tally from this season and last season, they're on track to beat that. It just shows you how mighty the obstacle that's been set in front of them are compared to last season. If Bayer Leverkusen were around last season, then they would have completely bullied Bayern Munich there as well, probably by even more. You know, it just happened to be that there was a weaker team than Bayern could beat for the title that weren't strong enough, and they completely choked it and threw it away in Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, Bayern Munich are not as bad as people think they are. This is obviously the worst Bayern team in a while. The standards are really high there, so and they're not at those levels right now. But this is also the best Arsenal side in a while, and yet here we are. Bayern Munich won 1-0, and they go through 3-2 in aggregate. Now for the other game on Wednesday between Man City and Real Madrid. Obviously a crazy 3-3 draw, but obviously away goals do not count. Unless, as I speak to you now, Madrid would have went through on away goals, but instead they had to go through on penalties against Manchester City. They did well to avoid the repeat of the 4-0 loss, the 4-0 defeat, and as a result of that allowed, well, I say that allowed, the reality of what happened in the game is that Man City put on the pressure when Madrid held, and they held. They then stole the goal with Rodrigo. They held, and they held, then De Bruyne equalised in the second half. They held, and they held. Like, I'll be honest, a team of Real Madrid's magnitude, for them to have the humbleness, I think that's a word, isn't it? They have the humility to sit there and defend and work hard and to keep Man City at bay. It shows the respect for Man City and also the desire to win. Real Madrid had no more forward weapons out there. They were out there finishing the game on a strike partnership with Lucas Vazquez and flipping Brahim Diaz and a completely done-out Jude Bellingham. And yet here they are, finding a way, 4-3 on penalties. It's incredible. Incredible, but this is what Real Madrid do. They always find a way to win. It ultimately comes down to that. Man City obviously are learning that art and they're getting better at it every year. But they couldn't repeat what they did last season. Real Madrid learned a lot from that, and you can tell because they came to the game a lot more defensive, a lot more deferential. And as a result of that, they were able to shut them off in this second game and squeeze through, despite the odds kind of being against them. You know, especially with the team that ended the game. It was crazy. 5 at the back. Real Madrid. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But this is what Real Madrid do. The biggest European team in the game, the most winningest team in the game. This is what they do. They find a way to win. And they did it there. They gave Man City a little lesson there that they still have a little bit more, let me say the word again, pedigree than them. That's how it is. Man City should have won this tie. But then, it's what it is. Nothing else you can do about it. You just got to accept it and you got to move on. So Real Madrid will be facing Bayern Munich. So those are the semi-finals for you. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and PSG, Dortmund. We'll see who reaches the final. We will see who reaches the final. But nonetheless, I'm going to end it here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next episode.
Mini Laje.